Hey, hey. Y'all already know what it is, man. I hope y'all having a good day today. I'm going to turn this music down just a little bit. Y'all are tuned in to the BU Radio Network, and you're at the right place at the right time, listening to the right show. We got the right host interviewing the right guests, only for the right listeners. And if you are listening with your boy today, you are most definitely the right listener, and we appreciate you listening. Welcome. I know y'all probably wondering, man, Trail, it is not Thursday and it is not 6 p.m. And what in the world are you doing today? And that is not BU Network that you at right now. We don't see no lights. We don't see no red. We don't see all them colors. You know what I'm saying? But today is special because not only because we got a new show coming to the network, but this is our first solely live remote show coming to the network right now. So before we do anything, I need everybody on this live feed right now, everybody on the website, everybody on YouTube, everybody wherever you at, wherever state you at, I need y'all to press that share button about 50 times. I need you to share it to your cousin them, your auntie, your uncle, your boyfriend, your boyfriend's boyfriend, if he have one, and then your girlfriend's girlfriend if she got one, because you know it's a whole different game. You know what I'm saying nowadays. You know what I'm saying. Whoever, whatever, I just need y'all to press that share button a couple of times because this topic today, listen, it's gonna shake the world. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't already got your seat belt fastened, then you might need to go ahead and fasten it up. You know what I'm saying? Um, we got some serious talk. We got some videos we're gonna show. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna talk about this show, and we're gonna talk about exactly the topic, everything that we're gonna be, you know what I'm saying, bringing to y'all every single Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, all the way from North Carolina. Now I'm excited about that. You know what I'm saying? To say that I got a show, you know what I'm saying, that's representing from North Carolina, that's big deal. That's a real big deal. You know what I'm saying? So everybody on the live feed right now, if you from North Carolina, I need y'all to throw some hearts in that thing. If you from oh, my bad, not North Carolina, Virginia. You know what I'm saying? See, I be messing up some things. Thank Thank you for that correction. I'm looking at the private chat right now. Y'all can't see that, but I got corrected. Virginia is up in this thing. You know what I'm saying? So if you are from Virginia, if you're from North Carolina, throw some hearts up too. But if you're from Virginia, go ahead and throw go ahead and throw some hearts up. You know, I know there's gonna be a lot of people representing, but I need y'all to go ahead and share this live feed. I'm about to bring Miss Motherless Flower to the network. You know what I'm saying? Let's bring her on. Let's bring her on. How you feeling today?
Hey y'all, what's good? I'm great. I'm wonderful. I'm happy to be here. I'm just ecstatic about this. Thank you so much for just having me here and creating this beautiful platform for us Black people to
Absolutely.
do what
Absolutely. It
we need
ain't
to
just for the
do.
black folk though. It ain't
For
just for
all of
black
us,
folk.
for all of us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a beautiful
BU
thing.
network. You know what I'm saying?
It's a
So you get to
beautiful
be
thing.
you, regardless of what race, what anything you are. Long as you,
Absolutely.
this is a place for you.
Absolutely.
BU network.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
let's get ready to dive into this thing. First of all, tell everybody who you are.
Okay, y'all. A lot of y'all out there watching probably know who I am. This is centered around personal space for me. My name is Kiwana or Kiki, as many of you guys know me. Born and raised in Chicago. I got hella family out there in Las Vegas, Nevada, representing all my
Mhm.
family, and just excited to just be here and talk about a motherless flower. For a lot of you, I've had this conversation before about a motherless flower. You guys know how near and dear it is to me, how I've been working on it for years. My first attempt at it was horribly bad. And I came across this wonderful gentleman here in this beautiful platform, and here I am
Excellent.
ready to share it. A
Ab-
motherless flower is basically just my journey, and it's a series of tales and crises and challenges that you go through in being motherless. So that's pretty much what this show is going to talk about, and we're gonna share a bunch of experiences and stuff. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. The crazy thing when you say motherless, and I've
Hmm.
I've had the opportunity to hear your story, and
Yes,
you was motherless with your mother being present.
absolutely,
That speaks volume right there. You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? Having
Hmm.
your mother present but still being motherless.
Yes, absolutely.
So
It. Mhm.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your question.
How was it having your mother in front of you? You know what I'm saying? And still not having a mother that you can really call mom like that.
Well, first, let me preface this by saying that being motherless, you can be raised in the house with your mom all your entire life, and she could be very not present. My mother, I haven't lived in the home with my mother since I was 14 or 15. However, she was very present in my life in ways that um, people couldn't conceive. And what I mean by that is that not living in our home for all those years, I typically was kind of on my own and just kind of going through life trying to figure it out for myself. And
Mm,
however, wherever I was in my life, she kind of showed up in a multitude of ways, and not always in the prettiest way. And
mm,
that's what this is about, and how that affected my life literally until my adult life, right, and still today. And how that shows up in our relationships, how that shows up in marriages, how it shows up in
yeah,
how we raise our children, how it shows up in our relationships with other women. It's really bad for you when you carry that kind of thing. When you carry that, I don't think that people fully understand the magnitude when you say motherless. If you
yeah,
lost your mother through, say, tragedy, um, transition, illness, um, an accident, things like that, to be without your mother in that aspect, I don't feel um, it's almost like a death to have
yeah,
your mother be present and not be present. So I can say that I've grieved for my mother for many years. I craved for my mother for many years. So when that shows up in your everyday life, and it's a cycle, it
mm,
starts with your youth. When you leave the home, once you leave the home, and you got to figure it out for yourself because you can't be at home. Not that you don't want to be at home,
yeah,
but circumstances prevent you from being at home. And at that point, you're literally forced to be an adult.
yeah.
So hence the name Motherless Flowers. Um, it's simply saying you don't get to bloom, you don't get to
Wow.
grow, you don't get to get the sun, to feel the sun on your skin, because every day kind of feels dark. You know,
Yeah,
if you can understand what that means.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's man, it's a hard kind of a hard transition to live when you don't have the person that's supposed
Yeah,
to give you, you know what I'm saying, understanding of what life is.
absolutely.
Just because you
So
give life don't mean that you give life.
right,
You know what I'm saying? It's like
right.
it's like yeah, you birthed me, but now I
Hmm.
gotta I gotta figure this out on my own.
Yeah. Well, that same person can suck the life out of you. That same person
Wow.
can make you feel lifeless. That very same person can make you feel life is not worth living.
Yeah.
It's a different thing when you're a woman in this world
Yeah.
whose mother is very alive and well, and you can't be in her life, or she can't be in yours for a multitude of reasons. Um, I want to say this, that I know that a lot of women out here don't um, necessarily like to talk about this, but I know there's a lot of us out here. I
Yeah.
know that there are a lot of women and from all walks of life and races, cultures, and classes that cannot connect with their mother. And you
Wow.
have some that are, they can be emotionally disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you've got violence. You've got, it's domestic dysfunction, is what it is.
Yeah.
And domestic dysfunction can be a number of different things. Your mother can be your biggest competition. She can be your biggest critic. She can be your biggest hater. She can be
Yeah.
your biggest bully. She can bully you from you don't even need to live in the same space. And the type of person that
Mm-hmm.
she was to me then was, I could be anywhere in the world. She'd find me and just wreak havoc on my life. And
Wow.
and I don't mean that in the physical sense. Putting her hands on me, those were kind of like in the younger days, way back in the day. But as I grew through these cycles in life, through my teen years, trying to figure out my own life, what it was going to be, um, she showed up in ways that you wouldn't even imagine. So the
Yeah.
show is going to cover some of those series and some of my life cycles, starting from when I left her house, um, up until today. And
Mm-hmm.
I've got so much to share, a lot of resources. But the first thing that I do want to read for you guys really quick, just something that I think that everybody should know. If you're thinking about pushing your kids out, you want your kids to get out because you want to get your thing going, you want to get your empty
Mm-hmm.
nester on, and you don't want your kids around because you just want to do your thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, I first want to say that I forgive my mother. I forgive her because I couldn't imagine what it was like to be a mother at 17 years old and have
Mm-hmm.
two kids. I couldn't imagine that. I had my first kid when I was 25. So I understand logically that she could have been anywhere near prepared for two children at that
Exactly.
age. And she did the best that she could. I'm sure. I know that she did. Um, I also know that at a certain point that you either make a very conscious decision to be better or
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of stay where you're at, right? So I think that at some point or another, I don't know where things kind of started to what led me here today. I can't even really put a finger on it or pinpoint it. I just know that it's important that we talk about it because it's too prevalent. It's too
Mm-hmm.
common. It's so common that people think that it's just an everyday norm that mothers and daughters are at conflict and at odds with each other.
Yeah.
Not only does it create a hostile environment if you've got siblings, um, if you've got a family that's separated and divided because of this one entity or this one dynamic that is
Yeah.
you, and it creates a whole thing for everyone around you. It's not just about you and your mom anymore. And when I say that, it just comes with all of the consequences of that behavior. And when I say consequences, I suffer the consequences of her choices. um, I want to convey that I'm not here to bash mothers. I'm not here to um, make anyone feel bad or not love their mom or anything like that. I'm here to address the fact that there's some mothers out here that need to be held accountable for the things that they do to their children and send them out into the world and then expect that um, you respect them. They expect for you to um, be their kid even in your adult life,
Mm-hmm.
and not fully take any accountability for some of the things or their role in how your relationship came to be. That's the biggest thing for me. And then also, I want other women, young women out there, to know that um, if you ever find yourself in a situation that you can't connect with your mother, you feel that there's something missing, address
Mm-hmm.
it as early as possible. I think that the communication piece has been missing for a long time.
Yeah.
We've come to a point to where we just don't talk, you know. We kind of pass each other, you know. Um, Mothers are getting younger. Um, we're younger grandmothers. We don't have a lot of the same patience that our grandmothers and
Yeah.
things did. We just don't. This world, we just don't have it. Everybody's kind of for themselves, and I think that our kids, well, I know, are suffering because I was one of these children. I thank God that in my transition and going through these changes, that I had the mental fortitude to not get on drugs, to not be
Hmm.
a prostitute, not make really bad choices. But the choices I was forced to make put me in grave danger all the time. And that was
Yeah.
because I couldn't be at home. So there's a lot of young women out here that are dying at younger and younger ages because they can't go home. They can't be
Yeah.
at home with their mother. They're at risk. They're at risk from the boyfriend. They're at risk from, you know, um, other siblings. And I don't mean physical violence. Domestic abuse comes in so many different forms. It can be verbal. It can be physical. It can be emotional. It could be mental. It can be so many things. So I definitely want to stress that, like Malik the Truth was saying prior to my show, all of the different labels of mental health, and a lot of this is about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let
Hmm.
me ask you the forgiveness part.
Yes.
Um, Sometimes the forgiveness part is the hardest part. Even when you say, "Look, I forgive you," um, those
Hmm.
those little things that remind you of what it is that you went through. How do
Right.
you keep those things from continuing to bog you down or continuing to cause you to live in unforgiveness?
So to live in forgiveness, it means that you got to really, really know what you're dealing with. You can't just say, okay, you know what, you were, things were bad and I forgive you. I couldn't forgive my mother until I figured out what was wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that the impact that she had on my life was showing up in my children. It was showing up in my relationships, people that I consider dear, my friendships, my family relationships. And I knew that in order to get to a place to where I was okay with Kiawana, just being Kiawana without all of the pretend stuff that came with trying to navigate my way through this relationship.
Yeah.
And in 2015 or 20 late 2015 or 2016 was when I was at my worst mentally. Um, and it only showed up because I was in like these constant crises all the time, just constant crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had to stop and think, well, if you're in constant crisis all the time, you got to stop and say, hey, is there something that I'm doing? Is there something that I could be doing different that my life could result or turn into something different? What is happening that these things keep happening to me? Once
Mm-hmm.
those crises kept showing up, it was all tied to something related to what was going on with me and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give you an example of this, right? Um, and I'm not going to give it all up today in this one show because I want you to show the video clip and then it'll kind of give everybody a better idea of where I'm coming from because we all know somebody like this, okay? So I'm going to give you an example of what it meant for me to just really just take out my shovel, dig deep, and figure out why I couldn't move forward in my life and why I was always having these constant crises. And people say, oh, Key, well, if somebody tells you something over and over and over again about yourself, we've all heard it, then there must be some truth to it, right?
Yeah.
People say that all the time. And you're like, what does that exactly mean?
Yeah.
And for me, I lived in a world of delusion and grandeur for so many years. So my forgiveness was finding the right way to approach what was going on inside of me because it showed
Yeah.
up in my, and I needed to do that. I couldn't just say I forgive her and move on. I needed to know why I was so angry. I needed to know why I couldn't function at work. I needed to know why I couldn't do all of these things, just daily life things. Once I
Yeah.
started to do that, it started to make more sense to me. It was easier for me to talk about it without breaking down and having like an emotional meltdown at any moment,
Yeah.
which I did a lot. Once I was able to do that and just confront my choices, my decisions, why I was doing what I was doing, and kind of piece the puzzle together, it led back to my relationship with my mom, or the lack thereof, and
Hmm.
her abuse. Um, she was very abusive, and to forgive that, you have to see it in you. When I
Yeah.
saw it on me, I was like a landmine walking around. I could snap off at anybody at any moment, and couldn't explain it, and then I'd be so bawling and crying. And
Hmm.
it was simply because of the mental pressure of the things that I had been programmed to think about myself, um, things that were given to me unjustly, by default. I was just this person out there in the world,
Yeah.
and everything that I did in my life that was tied to my childhood, it just kind of showed up in my kids. And I said, you know what, you really got to figure this thing out. Once I was able to do that, I went through an outpatient mental health program, um,
Hmm.
because I was suicidal for 2 years consecutively. And I needed to
Wow.
figure out why. Yes. And I was empty. I was yearning for my mother. I was needing her. I needed to feel that safety. When you
Yeah.
don't feel that from your mother, it makes you a very different person. It makes you look at everything in the world very different. We can deal with day-to-day stuff, because we know that life brings stuff. But when you've got the stuff, the shit coming from the one person that should love
Yeah.
you and should protect you and that should care for you, when you don't get that, it makes you a different person. It makes you not trust people. It makes you unfocused. I'm going to say, for me, it made me unfocused. It made me jealous. It made me self-loathing. It made
Mm.
me a good liar. Um, it made me a good manipulator for a great number of years.
Hmm.
And when I say that, and I'm going to explain that to you guys, I'm not that person anymore. Um, the the relationship with your mom is got to be the most precious relationship. At least
Absolutely.
at least it should be, right? So, um, the title mother is it's it's a given. It's just a title. It's a title. It's something that comes from within. If you're someone's ooh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just a title. That's all that it is. I'm gonna leave it there. It's just a title. And when I
Hmm.
say that, being a mother is it's more than that. It's more than giving birth, providing a roof, putting some food in your mouth, because those are things that we should do as parents. That's our job when we have children. You're supposed to do those things. When you don't
Yeah.
get the basic necessities, you know, because of whatever reason, you don't know, and you grow up and you just kind of know that things are not the same at your friend's house, and you're going through this stuff. It causes you grave embarrassment. So we suffer. You suffer in silence. Go ahead, like, subscribe, like. Tell everybody to share this, okay? Um, when you can't get that connection, it's a powerful, powerful, powerful thing. Um, so my show is going to touch on a number of topics. Um, I want to talk about um, the challenges that today's kids face that are very different than when I was in the street. And I
Hmm.
say in the street, I mean in the street. Okay. In the 90s, the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, um, I was homeless for a number of years. And when I say homeless, I mean going from everybody's got that friend in the neighborhood where they can go and hang out at their mom's house, their kids, their friend's house. You can spend the night there, but you can't live there,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm going to make the connection here in a minute, but you can't
Mm-hmm.
live there, right?
Yeah.
You can't go home, but you can't live here. So when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and you can't be at home with your mother and you just got to kind of figure it out, you come in contact with all types of creeps, you're a victim. um, you don't have just the basic things to just get through life, and it creates a mental um, it makes you mentally strong, but then it
Mm-hmm.
also makes you a very, very ill person. And I say that because you're not really dealing with life. You're just kind of in survival mode. So you're not really
Yeah.
dealing with what's in front of you. You're just in survival mode because you know right now I got this effed up situation. I'm too embarrassed to talk to anybody about it. So I'm just gonna coast my way through life. You ain't got nobody checking for you.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know where you are from year to year, day to day, and you've got relatives, but you don't have family. So when you're in
Wow.
that position and you're young and you're just out here, you're at risk for so many things. It's so important for me that people really look at this for what it is today, because I can honestly sit here and say that I could have been a victim in so many ways coming up and being motherless.
Yeah.
Um, when you don't have your mother and no let me just say this before I lose this thought. Fathers get a lot of flack. I think that the world says, okay, well, the biggest thing or the quickest go to for people when we see like a lot of the crime that's going on right in my hometown in Chicago, for example, where my son is, where my grandchildren are, where my mother is, where my brothers are. Um, there's just a different air about people. And the south side of Chicago was where I rode by
Mm-hmm.
myself. Okay. And the difference is in not being able and living at home with your mom, and she's detrimental to you mentally. And I use those words, detrimental, because it is detrimental. And you've got to walk the streets of the city of Chicago and try and figure it out and make things happen for yourself. And people look at you on the outside and they're like, oh, they really have no clue what's really going on in your life. Um, when it's time to really get to trying to live, you got to think that these youth today, um, you got to have access to so many things. When I was coming up, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have laptops. You was just kind of on your own at a payphone and hope to
Mm-hmm.
God somebody pick up and come and get you from wherever you're at. If not, you had to figure it out. I think that to today's youth right now, they're at even more risk than I was back then. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the purpose of me wanting to do this, to implore people to reach out to your nieces, your nephews, your sister's kids, your cousins' kids. We all know somebody that's got some real, messed up relationships. And I think that if I had someone like me back then
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that my life would be, I wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm 100% certain, knowing what I know today. I don't regret anything in my life, but I do want people to understand that you can't turn a blind eye to what's happening to our families. Um, Mothers and daughters, the bond that is created from that is like no other. I know that because I have that with my own daughter who's 20. And I would never want to be the source of any pain for my children, my son or my daughter. And that maternal instinct, unfortunately, is not with everyone. Unfortunately, some of us come from households where mental illness is very prevalent
Mm-hmm.
um, within your family. I used to think it was hereditary, and then I was like, I couldn't be hereditary. Did a lot of research and a lot of reading, and then to find, because my mother was diagnosed by bipolar, schizophrenic, manic,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know what those things meant. You know, people would just be like, "Oh, your mama crazy, your mom's crazy, da 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 da. Ooh, your mother's something else." You know, I'd get it all, and you just didn't want to face that life or that existence, which is what it was. It was just an
Yeah.
existence. I just existed. In today's world, I live. I live in this because I don't want another 14, 15-year-old to try and have to figure it out. They need somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Um, these young people need somewhere to go. The streets are not their family. We all know that. We talk about it, we complain about it, we whine about it. People need to get their kids. What are you doing with your kids? How are you handling your kids? What are you doing to ensure that some of these same things, we hear all these catchphrases, generational curses, and things like that. But what are you really doing to make you feel better so that you can be better for your kids, so that you can be better for your grandchildren? Maybe repair that relationship with your mother.
Yeah.
We've got to start somewhere. We've got to, because our children are dying quicker than we are.
Yeah.
And if we don't grab a hold of our children, is we're going to be extinct, you know. um One thing, I got off of this earlier, but I just wanted to say this. So I found this while doing a little bit of research. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigations, at least 4 Black women and girls were murdered per day in the United States in 2021 alone. Okay. This increase in violence, the number of Black females were also increased. So a number
Wow.
of Black women are dying, okay, every day. Um, Disproportionately at risk for trafficking, exploitation, homicide, abusive relationships. We are at risk every day. Our kids are at risk every day. And it's and I'm not here to bash anybody, anyone's mother. Reaching out to us as a community to say that as mothers and fathers, we must, we can't just throw our children away like they're trash. You can't just
Yeah.
dispose of your children. They're not disposable. So, and not everyone is aware that they're this person. Let me just say that. I imagine that my mother didn't know that she was ill, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what her life was like growing up as a child, only from what she told me, right? She's one of 10 or 11 siblings, I believe, and she's totally isolated from her siblings. Um, and so the mental health aspect of it, I can see that and I can understand that. However, the behavior that comes with that, sometimes I felt like it was selective growing up through life, because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen her in places and in moments to where she could get it together, and it was kind of like a situational relationship. So that further adds to the insult to injury, because now it's situational. Um, Once you plateau to a certain place in life to where you can kind of say, okay, you know what, I can be pleasant with you. So it becomes situational. That's part of the forgiveness. Um, I think that the bigger piece of this is that you can't expect for your children to um, know that you have these issues, right? We don't know. These are just our parents. We're just in the house. We're just with them. We don't know that there's bigger and deeper things going on. And
Wow.
not everyone have those resources to or even can identify that they have a problem. And then some people just aren't even willing to look at what they believe, or knowingly have a problem with, and won't address it. My mother knew she had a problem. um, she abused that to a certain degree. um, I think that for her life just in what it wasn't what she planned it to be. I think that she lived in a world of regret and disappointment, and her children just kind of bear the brunt of that. Um, I don't know. I think we were just kind of like little disappointments, is what it
Mm-hmm.
felt like. And I felt like she was very disappointed that she had the number of children that she had. I think that her life wasn't the way that she dreamt it to be. You know, we have dreams as young people, and we have goals and aspirations, and um, I heard like I just don't think that she was happy with the outcome of things, and we were just kind of like victims of circumstance. Um, this might not, make a lot of people happy. But I'm here to share this because there are a lot more of me out here than people realize or want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about. So this is for those women. Even I'm 50, 52 years old, and I still battle with this, and I have to make a conscious decision every day to be better, to
Yeah.
feel better, to want to be better with my own children. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that there are a lot of women out there that have these strained relationships, and not that you want to hate on your mom or anything like that, but I always um, have wondered, how could you be a mother and behave in the manner that you do with a child that you bore into the world? And again, not everybody is maternal. We can all give birth, and then there's some women out here, unfortunately, that can't experience the beauty of being a mother. So when you that's taken from you, stolen away from you, your youth is ripped away from you, because literally that's what it is. You don't get to have a youth. You don't get to live um, a fun life. It's not fun,
Yeah.
and
Stuff.
no matter it's not fun at all. So um, I watch a lot of reality TV, right? My kids, my daughter, she hates it. But I tell her there's a bigger message behind a lot of this stuff, because reality TV really just shows that, people show up, their true self in reality TV. I don't care what you say, that unscripted stuff. So I was
Yeah.
watching Love and Hip Hop one night, and there's this one chick on this show. Her name is Tommy. And then you've got what's the other girl? Apple Watts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Apple Watts is on TikTok, live, Instagram. I believe it was Instagram, and she's crying. She's literally pouring out her heart, and she does these things where she goes on these rants on Instagram, and she's in so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
And the very first thing that captured me was in this last video, and people thought it was funny. Oh, she's out here bad, she's on drugs, she's this. People really thought it was funny. And this woman literally said on TV, "I called my mom, and that bitch don't answer. That bitch ain't never answered." These are her words.
Yeah.
And all I could say was, wow. In that moment, she was in so much pain, and she was on the internet crying for help. I've had those moments, but I didn't have an internet. There was no
Yeah.
live to go to. It was just me and myself and my own thoughts. And to be able to, I didn't have anywhere to vent. I just kind of had to cope. So a motherless flower is here to let all of these young women, and not just women, there are men out here that have struggles with their mothers too, that battle with um, certain elements of their relationships. And we live to please our parents. We want them to be proud of us. We want them to love us. We want them to accept us. We want them to embrace us. At least that's what they should be doing. They should be our biggest supporters. And when that doesn't happen for you, um, you've got situations. And I got
Yeah.
tons of situations. And we're going to talk about all of those situations.
I'm gonna
They're
jump in
funny.
real quick. I want to
Go
ask
ahead.
you.
Mhm.
It's been hard. It's hard when you're an interviewer. It's hard not to interview. So I've
Right.
been over here.
I'm
Um,
sorry. I run my
but
mouth. People know
no, no,
that.
no, 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 no. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
Um, the question that I wanted to ask is about
Hmm.
coping mechanisms.
Oh
Everybody has
man.
a coping mechanism that they use or operate in,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
sometimes it ain't always the most positive
Right.
because you got people who go
Yep.
to drugs, people that go to alcohol, people
Yep.
that go to sex, people that go to
Yep.
different things. What
Yep.
was the coping mechanism that you
Mine.
use?
Mm, well, you got to ask me at what age.
Oh, so they
Now,
there was different.
there was ages and stages.
Well, let's start from the beginning and let's build our way up. Because
So,
I think a lot of people who would listen to this show
hmm,
um don't know that they're coping.
yep,
They just
yep,
do something to keep their mind away from it, and they
busy,
don't
right?
understand that, hey, this is a
Hmm.
coping mechanism.
It
So if I
absolutely is.
so yeah, let them know a couple of the coping mechanisms.
So, in my, I want to say probably in my younger days, there was really no coping mechanisms. Well, I want to say through from the age of 14 to say 20,
Mm-hmm.
6 years of my life, right? Um, I was homeless for pretty much most of that time. In intervals, I had family members here and there, friends of families that would take me in, right?
Mm-hmm.
My biggest coping mechanism was putting on a brave face. I read a lot of books, tried to keep myself mentally strong, needed to somewhat educate myself. Um, I wasn't a high school graduate when this was going on. Dropped out of high school as a senior. Um, that was my first attempt at suicide, actually, as a senior in high school. And that was my way of, I didn't have an outlet. You know, everybody around me was kind of doing their own thing. The people that were in my circle or in my life had their own stuff. And
Yeah.
I was just kind of there, just kind of hanging out, just there. But I will say that there are some very key people during that time that helped me along the way. I wasn't always totally by myself. I have to first just there's a lot of people out here that are and they're gonna know these names and I have to say this. My very best friend, her name is Tina. Her mother took me in as a teen at 15 or 16. And she was that mom in the neighborhood where everybody could go to her house. Okay. Anybody, she didn't turn nobody away. She opened up her doors. She cooked for everybody. She made sure you ate. You could come to her house. You could take a bath. You could change your clothes. You could sleep there. And this was just she was that type of woman and wonderful woman. And had her own family, had her own children. So you couldn't imagine what that was like for her children to have all of these other entities in their space, right?
Yeah.
And so I can't really say that I had a coping mechanism. I was just in survival mode for a really long time, and I learned to adapt to my environment. Um, I also learned to stay out of the way, which is a real common phrase today. I stayed out of the way. I tried not to um, show up in people's lives in a way that would leave or burn a bridge, so to speak. I
Mm-hmm.
might have to go back there. Um, there's so many things that you have to contend with when you're without your parents, and your parents are
Mm.
alive and well in the world. So I recall one time when I finally figured out how to fill out a job application, and I got my first job at Kmart at like 17 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a job and I was feeling good about myself and but I was still living wherever I could, right? But I was functioning. And all I can remember was man, prom, dances, things like that you just don't get to experience. Um, you're an adult immediately. You
Yeah.
don't get to be a child. You don't get to experience dances, shopping, hair appointments, nails appointments, all these the things that, girls do with their moms. I didn't get that. So I had to find ways to create my own little happiness. And in that, I hurt a lot of people along the way, trying to survive, not intentionally, um, because my mental was, you just got to survive. Um,
Yeah.
it was tough. So I didn't have any coping mechanisms now, and today I've got a ton of coping mechanisms to keep me sane, and to keep me smiling, and to keep me positive, and keep me being the best mom that I can be to my kids. I'm not a perfect mother. Lord knows I'm not. My kids will both tell you that I've got my fair share of stuff, but I also know the importance of being present in your kids' lives. Um, we don't always get it right. No parent does. You just don't. However, um, we just don't get it right. But so we're going to talk about that, and how we can change some of that, and hopefully touch a few people, create some better dialogue about our youth, what this is looking like, because it does truly start at home. It does.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. So every single Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're
Y'all
gonna
come
be
back.
right here.
Hmm.
BU Network. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Welcome.
Yes. Thank
Welcome to the
you.
team.
I know I kind of
Very
ran it. Go ahead.
no, hey, that's you're supposed to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I was just here for support, and
I
you
appreciate
really didn't need it, but um just in case you did, I'm here.
it. Well, I
Uh
appreciate it. Thank you.
I salute you for everything that you've been through, and
Hmm.
still coming out, still making moves, and you live to tell the story. That's the
Absolutely.
biggest thing. So
Absolutely.
everybody out there, I salute you guys for being able to tell y'all stories, everything y'all been through. You know,
Yes.
this is a platform for that. You know, sometimes it takes you to go through what you went through to keep somebody else from going through what you went through.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we're gonna tell
Go
the
ahead.
story. We're gonna continue
We
to tell the story. And so y'all check out this series, Motherless Child, or Motherless Flower rather. And
flower.
let me put that flyer up. Hold on, where that
Yes.
flyer go? Let me put the flyer up. Boom. You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all tune in once again every single Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on the BU Network. We're gonna put all the social media stuff on there. So got the social media stuff. If you guys got any questions, feel free to hit us in the inbox. Um,
Yes.
if you want to be a guest on the show, also hit us in the inbox if you have a story that
Absolutely.
that you want to tell in regards to your family situation. Hit us in the inbox. We want to hear your story. We'll talk to you. I have her reach out to you so she can hear your story and then connect. Um, I know there's a lot of stories that need to be told.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna open up this platform and talk about those things. So go ahead and give them some last words. We got about 2 minutes, and we're gonna go ahead and head up out this thing.
All right. Well, I first want to say that this is not an attack on my mother. Um, Again, as I started at the top of the show, this is me saying that as a community, people, our children need us. Um, if you don't have the tools, or the strength, or you just don't know where to start, there's tons of resources out there in regards to mental health. You can go to NAMI, NAMI.com. Tons of resources if you need somebody to just talk to, just vent. If you're a mother, it's okay. We're not perfect. Um, get your kids, go seek some family counseling, go together,
That's right.
do some group, do some family settings. We have family game night. We can get together for everything else. We can do all of that stuff. We can kick it, party with our kids, all this stuff that we do. I think that We need to literally start communicating with each other and learning how to talk to our kids, learning how to be gentle to ourselves. When we're good to ourselves, we can be good to others. And so as soon as you start with you, you
Yeah.
can work on your family. And that's what
Absolutely.
the point of this is. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll see
So
y'all next week, Wednesday. Come back. There's going to be a multitude of series. So what I want to talk about is the mother that creates separation. That's our next series next week.
wow. That's
So
powerful. Y'all,
yes,
hey, listen, y'all better tune in to this. Definitely tune in. I need to see y'all next week, 8 p.m.
yes, yes.
Um,
Like, subscribe, share, guys. Like it, share,
absolutely.
subscribe. Yes. We're gonna talk about this and we're gonna make it better. We got to get better. Thank you, Natrell. I appreciate this platform. I appreciate BU Network. All of my motherless flowers out there. Pray on it, baby. Talk about it to
Hey,
somebody. Hey, if you got to talk to yourself, talk to yourself. But you can get through. You can get through anything. You're not by yourself. I'm here.
yeah,
Inbox me if you need
exactly.
something. I don't care. Hey, just want to talk. I'm here. I'm here. I'm not perfect, and I don't have all of the answers, but I can definitely relate, and we can talk. Okay.
And if you can't answer it, you can pray to a
I'm
God
going.
that has all the answers. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
sometimes prayer changes things. Sometimes it just takes a couple of people to touch and agree with you. You know,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
so y'all make sure y'all stay tuned in. I'm gonna go ahead and press this end stream button, and we're gonna
Yes.
jump up off this thing. But we'll be back next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that, with good content and
Yes.
things, those nuggets that's gonna help you continue to move forward in your transition or in your walk. You know what I'm saying? In
Mm-hmm.
this thing we call life. You know.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
blessings to y'all. We're out of this thing.
Blessings. Good night, y'all.